Hola, buenos dias. This is Kaipacho with the weekly Pele report. Oh, yes. This one is for Wednesday, February 21st. And it's a very special day. Venus is exactly conjunct Mars at the 8th degree of Aquarius today. Now, it is square to Jupiter, we have to say. There's still flies in the ointment, or trouble in paradise. As that square to Jupiter, I'll talk about it a little bit if I have time. I mostly want to bring to you the mythology, the story of Psyche and Eros. Yes, the story of soul and love. As the moon is now in Leo. Yes, indeed. She is moving along. And, you know, she basically comes into a square with Uranus and Jupiter. And, you know, comes into this opposition as she opposes Venus and Mars. But then she moves into Virgo, and we have the full moon. The full moon is happening at 5 degrees, 23 minutes of Virgo, and that is exact on Saturday. The same day that Venus is conjunct, exactly square Jupiter. Here is my future home. How about that? It's got a little space out here. Out on the beach, a little hammock there. No neighbors really to speak of. Super nice. And then the moon moves into Libra, you know, by Monday. So she culminates in that full moon and then starts to wane a little bit as everything moves on. And what else have I got? Mercury. Mercury is moving into Pisces. That is exact tomorrow. Yeah, the moon's going to oppose Mercury on Friday. Okay, and that's coming around. Last but not least, really, I'd say is that Mars then moves a little slower than Venus and will come into a square, okay, with Jupiter next Tuesday. So let me find a nice little spot somewhere here and talk at you. All right, everybody. This is about the best I'm gonna do without getting blown away. There's a breeze out there on that beach. I hope you can hear me. And yeah, I've got so much to say today. It's where to begin, where to begin. I want to begin at the beginning. Hello. In the beginning, with Greek mythology, there was chaos. Chaos, the original source, the original god-goddess woven into one, creator source. Everything emerged out of chaos. And this is the interesting thing that I found. I'm looking at Venus and Mars conjunction, right? Okay, so Venus and Mars, but whoa, 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 whoa. What I found to be very, very, very interesting is that Eros, the god of love, whose tip of his arrow would unnerve the body and completely still the mind and take over the heart of whoever it touched, was born one of the original gods. Love was born out of chaos. Yeah. And Gaia, of course, was another, born out of chaos. And then two things, darkness and night. were born out of chaos, and Tartarus, or hell, was born out of chaos. These were the children of chaos. So Eros love goes very, very far back, farther back than anything, right? Because then we find, and here's the thing, okay, out of Gaia, with no father, Gaia gave birth to Uranus, the sky god, who she wanted him to cover her on all sides. Gave birth to him by herself. And then, out of their union, yes, came Chronos, time and space. It was only when Uranus, the sky, lifted off of Gaia that there was space and time and Chronos. So Chronos was a Titan, okay, and Uranus gave, birth, Gaia gave birth to many Titans, 3 types, Titans and Cyclops, the single-eyed beings, okay, and then the Hecatontones. They had 100 hands and 50 heads. There were only 3 of them. Holds up 2 fingers. There were only 3 of them. Yeah. And the thing is that Uranus was a ruthless, heavy-duty, intense character. And he did not want, he feared being overthrown. So he put all of them in Tartarus, in hell. Well, the problem was that Gaia, they made Gaia soar. Yes, having all of her offspring, all of her children, not really allowed out of her womb, it was like torturous. So she actually plotted with her son, right, Kronos, and Kronos, at one day when Uranus was, he had his hands in the west and his feet were in the west and his hands were in the east. And he was like Nut, the Egyptian goddess of the sky. Yeah, Uranus, he arched, right, over the sky. Kronos reached up with his left hand, he grabbed his testicles, and with his right hand he took a sickle and he chopped them off. And they fell to the earth. The blood spurt, and out of that was born the Furies. If you've ever gotten furious, you know the origins of your fury. Yes? And the testicles themselves went into the oceans of water, created foam, and out of the foam arose Venus. So Venus is the daughter of Uranus. She is very, again, like Eros, Venus is very ancient. Okay? And then it's only after, okay, then, basically, so Kronos overthrew Uranus, and then he swallowed his children. But one of his children, Zeus, yes, again plotted Kronos's overthrow. Some associate Zeus with Christ. Yeah? No, well, there's actually a foretelling that after Zeus there will be another half mortal, half god that takes over Zeus's place. And some attribute that to being Jesus Christ. Just to throw that in there. But it was, Zeus's children, Mars. Mars was born of Zeus. Okay? So, what we have here is Venus and Mars coming together. Now, I want to tell you the story today of Psyche. Psyche was a mortal, born of a king, a Grecian king, one of 3 sisters. She was the youngest sister. And we know that Psyche in ancient Greek means soul. So this is really the story of the soul and the eternal source of love, Eros, Psyche and Eros. So yes, it's not really Venus and Mars. This is more, how can we say, interesting. I mean, yes, Venus and Mars did get together, but there wasn't a whole lot of mythology around it. But Psyche and Eros, you know, is also just a very profound tale. And let me go on with it. Psyche then was all three of the daughters were extremely beautiful, the fairest of the fair, but Psyche, the youngest, was beyond, she was immeasurably beautiful. So much so that she was adored and worshipped, and people would come from far and wide to worship Psyche. And the temples of Aphrodite grew vacant and were even at times defiled because Psyche was taking her place. Well, this angered Aphrodite, yes. And so she told Eros to take, Psyche out, yes, and, throw her from the cliffs. Actually, her vengeance was even worse. She wanted Eros to prick Psyche with one of his arrows when she was looking at the most hideous, wretched, human, defiled piece of that there existed or he could find. So that was her punishment for Psyche. So Eros goes to fulfill, right, what Aphrodite wanted. And some say that he pricked himself accidentally with one of his arrows. But nonetheless, when he saw Psyche, he instantly fell in love. The god of love falls in love with a mortal. We see trouble coming. Yes. Anyway, he cannot destroy her, kill her, have her fall in love with someone. So he takes her and lays her on the top of a mountain, and the west wind, Zephyr, yes, comes and picks her up and lays her down in a fresh bed of flowers. And when she awakens from her sleep, there is the most beautiful palace, even more beautiful than Zeus's palace on Mount Olympus. It was beyond description. And she went in to the palace and was cared for and nurtured and fed. And then at night, in the darkness, she was visited by Eros, who made love with her, and she became pregnant. And he just told her one thing: you must promise that you will never see my face. And before dawn, before the light of day, he left. And here was Psyche, yes, so in love. I mean, she was just overwhelmed with love, and he made perfect love to her, and she was surrounded with beauty. She could not believe her good fortune. But even then, she grew lonely. And every night Eros would come to visit, but she asked if her sisters could come to visit. And after much pleading, Eros gave in. And so Zephyr, the west wind, would bring her sisters for visits. But every visit, her two sisters grew more jealous and more envious, and they wanted to meet her husband. And finally, when she said, I cannot see, I have never seen my husband, they convinced her that her husband must be the devil, must be a hideous dragon that is going to devour her offspring, her baby, as soon as it's born. And she's got to see him. And when she sees him, she will wake up from her grievous, dreamy insanity. And she resisted her sisters for, for a while, but ultimately she gave in. They even convinced her that she should kill her husband. So one night, as they lay sleeping, Psyche woke, and she took the candle, and she had to see her husband's face. And there, at once, she knew it was Eros because of his beauty and his golden locks and his beautiful pink face and his white neck, but most of all because of his arrows laying right beside his body as he slept. And she went to the quiver of arrows, and she pulled out an arrow, and she accidentally pricked herself with an arrow. She fell even more deeply in love, irreversibly in love with Eros. But the prick hurt her, and she jerked, and she spilt candle wax on Eros, and he awoke. Well, he was so upset. I would say furious. Indeed. And he immediately disappeared. And Psyche, more in love with him than ever, set off. She left the palace, left everything behind, and went off in search of her love, Eros. And she went through valleys and forests and beaches and jungles, and oh my goodness, she went to the east, to the north, to the south, to the west, in search of her man, Eros. But it was all to no avail until she finally came to the temple of Aphrodite, and she begged Aphrodite to help her find her true love. Well, you can bet Aphrodite was furious. Again, she was not only furious that, first of all, Psyche was still alive and well, but that she had fallen in love with Eros, and that Eros had disobeyed her. So she had great revenge, and she set forth one thing after another, impossible tasks like Hercules for Psyche to do. One was that she put together wheat and barley and corn and poppy seed and chia seed, and she mixed together huge amounts of all these seeds and threw them in a huge pile and said, you must sort out these seeds by sunset. And of course, Psyche just wept tears with this impossible task. And the ants heard her weeping. And the ants came, all the ants from all over the world came, and they sorted out all the seeds just before sunset. And Psyche showed Aphrodite. And so Aphrodite gave her another challenge, task that had to be done. And that was to gather the golden fleece. Now the golden fleece were only on the sheep that were deadly. They had horns and no one could harm or get anywhere near these sheep. So again, Psyche went out to the hillside of the golden fleece and cried. There was no way she could do it. But the reeds, blowing in the wind, heard her crying, and they gave her the secret. They said, wait until midday when the sheep go to sleep, and you may go up and gather their golden fleece from the thorns and the thistles and the bushes. And so once again, Aphrodite succeeded in her task. I mean, Psyche went back to Aphrodite with the golden fleece. And Aphrodite was again, how can I just, punish this woman, this mortal, who dares to enter the realms of gods and goddesses? So she gave her another impossible task, and that was to gather water, a pitcher full of water from the river Styx. So Psyche went with her pitcher of water, only to find that on both sides of the river Styx, it was guarded by ferocious, fire-breathing dragons. And there was no way she could approach that river. And here is where, the eagle of Zeus came to her rescue, took the pitcher, flew down into the river and filled it and brought it back to Psyche. So it is the insects and then the plants and now the birds. You kind of get this. There's always, yes, the soul will always be helped. You have to look at all the symbolism in Greek mythology. I don't know that I have time to go into it. But Aphrodite here is just getting absolutely flustered, right? She gives her a fourth task. She says, you must take this box down into hell, and you must capture some of Persephone's beauty and bring it back to me. Well, Psyche knew the only way to enter hell was through death, and she was so distraught and felt so helpless. Her life was hopeless, meaningless. I don't know if your soul, if love ever brings you to the place where it's hopeless and you are helpless. She was going to throw herself off a cliff. And so she climbed up to the tallest mountain to throw herself off the cliff. But again, the eagle came and he told her the way to succeed in her task. And she went out into the Peloponnese. I don't know if you've been there, but it's a huge area of Greece that is where all the gods and goddesses walked and played in ancient Greece. It's beautiful. And there is the gates. The gate to Hades is a cave. I've actually visited this cave. Yes, it is the entrance to Hades. If you go to Greece, you can find it. Well, Psyche went there, but she did not go empty-handed. She brought 2 pieces of bread and 2 coins. And she entered down into that cave, and she used her first coin to give Chiron, not Chiron, Chiron, yes, the boatman over the river Styx. She gave it to him to take her across the river Styx. And then she gave the food to Cerberus, the hound of hell that guarded the gates of hell, and she entered. And there she met Persephone, the daughter of Demeter. And she did what she was told. She refused to eat any of the food or the feast that Persephone laid before her. In turn, she asked for one favor, and that was that she would give her some of her beauty into the box. And Persephone obliged and did so, but said, "Do not open this box. It can only be for Aphrodite." And so, again, here we come. She comes out, and just like Pandora, she disobeys. Eros disobeys. Pandora disobeys. Psyche disobeys. It's just, what is this life on earth? The life of the soul, that we disobey the gods and goddesses. She opened the box to look to see the beauty of Persephone. And she instantly fell into a deep, deep, deep sleep. Eternal sleep. And there she lay. Now you may be wondering, what's happening with Eros this whole time that his love, Psyche, is being tortured by Aphrodite? What is he doing? Well, the thing is that Eros, he could not bear the sight of Psyche, and yet wanted nothing but to be with Psyche. And when she fell into this deep sleep, he came and he approached her, but not before asking Zeus. Finally, Zeus, for the hand of Psyche in matrimony. Now, Eros, as we know, right? You know, I mean, he's way older than Zeus. He's eternal. He came out of chaos. Very interesting that he would ask Zeus. But Zeus was the only one who could make Psyche immortal and become one of the gods. So here's Jupiter. Jupiter now square this Venus-Mars conjunction, right? Raises, it is Zeus who can bring us this expansion, this immortality. And so he gives Psyche immortality. And then Psyche and Eros are united in holy, sacred matrimony. And Psyche gives birth to their child, voluptus. Yes? So the child, the creation of Psyche and Eros, love and the soul, the eternal masculine and the immortal feminine, becomes the god of pleasure. Now there are so many layers to this myth and so many interpretations. I'm going to leave you with some of those interpretations because not only time is running out, but this is a weekly Paleo report where I need to discuss this Venus conjunction in Aquarius of all the signs. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, the sky god, right? Very ancient. Really, Venus's father. Think of that. So Venus is kind of in the home of her father, Uranus. And yes, we see this coming forward, but really it is the least personal sign in the zodiac. Aquarius rules non-attachment. It rules extraterrestrials. There's no earthling. It's the opposite of Leo, which rules the heart. It's science, technology, computers, electricity. It's very, 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 yeah. I associate it with outer space, where it's very cold. And so it's very interesting. You know, Venus and Mars almost came together in Leo. Yes, last July, I think it was. July or August. They almost came together, but Venus went retrograde. She went up, Psyche went up and almost caught Mars, but went retrograde. Now she comes back again. Only this time, their union is consummated. Today, Wednesday, February 21st, just before Mercury goes into Pisces, the sign of dreams coming true. I don't want to read you the whole thing, but I want to read you the Sabian symbol for the degree of their union. A beautifully gowned wax figures, on display. The keynote is the inspiration one may derive from the appearance of capital E exemplars who present to us the archetypes of a new culture. Aquarius rules the future. Yes? And here we have archetypes. You know, Venus and Mars, the goddess of love and beauty, and the warrior god. These are archetypes. And the symbol is talking about how wax figures are perfect. There's no blemishes, there's no and they are symbols of a perfected state of being that can only be really manifest in the future, in life. And so this is a very powerful degree that Venus and Mars comes together in, is it not? This is almost envisioning a higher love. Oh, there's my song for today. I didn't even have one. Bring me up higher love, bum, bum, bum. I forget who did that one. Yeah. But I'll find it. Check the notes below for, and if you go on Spotify, I got like hours and hours, like 50 hours or something of all the Pele Report. It's a soundtrack. Check it out, Pele Report soundtrack on Spotify. It's got all the songs. Oh, I put them up there every week. Anyway, what else was I gonna say? Bring me up higher. I got distracted. So, square Jupiter. What is the interpretation here? Jupiter down here in Taurus, on the earth, heavy, dense, fixed. It is, and Taurus is about the 5 physical senses, and pleasure, voluptuousness, and money, and chocolate, wine, fudge, alcohol, whatever is your fancy, non-gluten dessert. But so here we are. This is a year of Jupiter expanding through Taurus, getting heavier, denser, deeper into our bodies, deeper into this world, deeper into, the riches and everything that are, here inside Gaia. Woo! And there is a call. This love, this Venus and Mars, Psyche and Eros. There's a square. A square is a block. So we can have earthly blocks to the manifestation of our love. We can have financial losses. We can have, things too much. And here is the other side, I will say, of Jupiter. Jupiter is not just Santa Claus that brings prosperity and expansion and everything else. Jupiter also removes limitations. It can remove the bars of our cells. It can remove limiting relationships if they are not in alignment with our psyche, soul, evolutionary growth. It can remove money if we have been distracted or pulled down into, or blah, blah. So there is this whole kind of teeter-tottering back and forth of the unexpected. This is a week of the unexpected with love and money. You may meet someone new. You may lose someone you had. You may, experiment with new ways of being, futuristic ways of managing, of handling relationship and partnership in a very enlightened or liberated way. It's even polyamorous. This is Aquarius's groups, right? Yeah. So, multiple ways and experiences and expansions of how to express my unique individual love. The evolutionary intentions of Aquarius have to do, especially when Venus and Mars are present in Aquarius, it has to be a relationship where my unique expression is fostered, supported, really held, appreciated. My eccentricities, my weirdness, my hairline, my hairdo, or non-hairdo, right? As weird as we are, there's no such thing as normal. This is one thing that Aquarius really wants to bring to us. So try not to, match the novels or the Hollywood movies in terms of they lived happily ever after. As we can see, the story of love involves sacrifice. It involves toil and trial. It involves, endlessly, using our will and our desire. And love has to conquer all of our petty little other minor needs to be fully realized. So the mantra for this week is that love is a magical essence that transforms both you and me. For though it binds, no. Oh shoot, I blew the mantra? Probably not the first time. I was going to hit pause and rewind and maybe edit it, but I don't think so. I just don't have the oomph. Love is a magical elixir essence. Which one you like better? I think maybe elixir. Love is a magical elixir that transforms both you and me. For though it binds and may not be kind, it both ties us and sets us free. It is chaos. It is, what do they call that? The paradox. Love is a paradox. It brings us to the highest highs and the lowest lows. It fills us. It empties us. It makes us want to live. It makes us want to die. It is the most powerful force of healing and more in the universe. We could say God is love. It has been written that God is love. Love is God. I know I got a message somewhere, because I said that before in some other Paleo report, and somebody came back, you can't replace God. I'm not talking about replacing God. What is in a name? A rose by any other name will smell as sweet. God by any other name will still be freaking God. Right? The source of all, the infinite potential of all that exists. But love is the binding force that unites all of existence. That is Eros. And once you are pricked by Eros, I'm sorry, but there is no going back. One more time, I'm going to let you go. Love is a magical elixir that transforms both you and me. And though it binds and may not be kind, it both ties us and sets us free. We also have to understand, yes, earthly love and divine love, and spiritual love, and sacred love. So there are many, many, many dimensions, many, many frequencies, many, many expressions of this magical force of love. And Aquarius, this is a union of the highest of those. May you experience the highest forms, expressions, and experiences of love. Namaste. Aloha. So much love.